Well, good morning, Floorball fans. Thank you for joining us for what's set to be an action-packed game today between the Fresno Force and the Minnesota Growlers. I'm Tanner David. Joining me today is Trent Kling. Trent, how are you feeling about the matchup?
I'm feeling pretty good that we're going to see an exciting, close game here. Fresno, it's a quick turnaround for them. So that's the story for Fresno. They had the 4 o'clock game yesterday, so really only 18 hours of rest before this contest. Minnesota has played a couple of high-intensity matchups, first against Seattle, as Seattle attempted to come back and nearly completed it before Minnesota was able to win, and then that overtime game yesterday against the Aviators that went to a shootout. So Minnesota's played a lot of hard minutes of floorball. Fresno coming off short rest. I think whichever team controls the tempo of this game will be out on the front foot.
And of course, these are two teams who have high hopes for the Troy Cup this season. The last time they met was in the semifinals, where Fresno came away with a close victory, 5-4, to enter the championship round. Minnesota going to be hungry, looking for revenge. Far side, it's Miles Marthaler. Around the goal line, will pass down Metanimi, working with Järninen. Far side, over to Tuukka Korhonen.
And already we're seeing Fresno kind of shift back in their 2-1-2, so they're giving Minnesota room to work offensively. This is what Minnesota ultimately wants to do. They want to set up from about halfway through the pitch and then get movement going on down along the wings to try and open up those cross-court passes.
And it's a style of play that we saw them use very effectively last season as well. Both, using the Finnish style, but we've seen Minnesota do it far more aggressively than any other Finnish-based team in the NAFL has. The Jaguars, for example, last season really being more defensive and in their own backcourt with their passing, whereas Minnesota takes it behind the opposing team's goal line, striking at the perfect moment.
That's absolutely correct. I think Minnesota, your average time of possession is going to be around 30 seconds. Last year for the Jaguars, it was closer to a minute. Jaguars are a more patient team. Minnesota, the other thing to watch for is the 2-2-1 that they're exercising defensively right now.
Now Kangas driving, trying to get a shot off there with Samuel Linda, but it goes on the outside of the goal there. Ilmari Lehtinen trying to get it away, but it'll come back out to David Kangas. That'll be a free hit awarded here to the Minnesota Growlers. Number 64, captain Yipao Roila. This with a pass over to Salakangas.
And we should also mention Minnesota is going to roll 3 lines in this game. Fresno this weekend for the NAFL has mostly been rolling 2 with a few subs here and there.
And pass close side. Tita Salakangas shot attempt sailing wide right. Hilton able to recover here for the Growlers. So pass down. Salakangas in the center looking for Hilton, and Rasmus Johansson able to break it up there for the Fresno Force. Now David Kangas driving on the far wing. He won't be able to get the angle to pass behind himself. Over to Johansson. Shot goes on the outside of the goal. Recovered there by number 77, Pasi Arvin, and shipped up in the air. Deep to Salakangas. He's got Johansson coming to meet him. Shot attempt off the body there of Oscar Viking Scharnberg. That'll be a free hit for Fresno to end the Growlers' offensive.
And one of the more impressive players for Fresno has been Johansson. We saw him get the chance on Järvinen down at the other end. He scored a couple goals against us for the 39ers yesterday, so I think he's my player to watch for Fresno, number 72 in purple and yellow.
Now on the close side, Etu Vanyonpa for the Growlers. Facing some pressure there from Mendoza, finally backing off. He's been an exciting new addition of talent to watch here in the NAFL. He's showing a lot of speed, a lot of aggression. He's not afraid to overextend himself, and he's come up with some great turnovers as a result. Shot attempt there by Tom Fuchter, saved by Scharnberg. Now Neumann driving down, but he's in traffic. Pass attempt intended for Mendoza goes off the foot there, number 79, Valtteri Rantala. Tom Fuchter, he controlled the ball there, chipped out of bounds. It's going to be a Fresno Force hit in. Both teams bringing out substitutions. Johansson, the pass over to Castellanos. We'll go far side to Adrian Amdahl. Around half court, looking for Johansson in the center. Too much spin on the ball. It's chipped up in the air. Linda unable to make something happen in the face of a double team. Johansson coming for support. Järninen goes over to Lehtinen as Linda backs off. Emily Järninen. Now in the center lane, he'll pass far side. Miles Marthaler's shot attempt saved by Scharnberg. David Kangas now being pushed away. Marthaler to Järninen, and his shot sails wide. It's going to be a free hit called here for Minnesota. Number 24, Tuukka Korhonen, the pump fake. Waiting for the whistle still to take it. And now Järninen, shot attempt just saved by Scharnberg between the legs. He'll take a pause and pass over to Adrian Amdahl.
The key to that save for Scharnberg was really the rebound control. It stuck between his legs. He didn't give anything to the players in front. However, there was some concern about that Fresno wall. It did break up a little bit, allowing the third man in to get the shot. So that's something Fresno will have to kind of tie up and tidy up on the free hits.
Marthaler driving down now. He's around Fresno's goal line. The pass behind the goal to Ilmari Lehtinen. Rauroila. Back to Lehtinen. Nyberg and Gallberg coming to meet him. Auroila has a little bit of space on the close wing. Passing now with Salakangas. Over to Lehtinen. Auroila shot just saved by Scharnberg. A great attempt, but it goes off the torso. Now Alex Neumann with some speed heading into Minnesota territory. Chipped away. Now it's Lehtinen. The pass to Salakangas driving down. Shot attempt saved, this time off the foot of Scharnberg. Raising his fist in celebration there. Wheeler Gallberg working in traffic. He'll pass down, looking for Mendoza. He has Hiltonen on him. They go with a pass over to Billy Nelson, who loses control of the ball. Tuukka Hiltonen. Now behind his own goal as the Fresno defense retreats to make substitutions. Julius Salakangas driving down. Mendoza loses his stick. His shot attempt sailing high right, nearly hitting the DJ in the arena. Just over 5 minutes have passed here so far in the first period. It's already been an exciting match so far.
Scharnberg is standing on his head right now, and so many of his saves are positional saves because he's enormous. He is a huge human when you see him, but that last save was a beauty of a hand save, showing that he's got the reaction time as well. He's been impressive over the last couple of games for Fresno and was really a main reason why they were able to cap off the comeback against Ohio on Saturday.
Amdahl trying hard to stay with the ball there. Marcus Line nearly able to get it. Rasmus Johansson shot attempt deflected off the body of Järvinen. Kangas trying to stop Fuchter from the shot attempt, able to box him out. Tom Fuchter now, still with possession for Minnesota. Fresno tight towards the goal. Shot attempt saved again by Scharnberg. Tom Fuchter driving in, another save. Amdahl spins around, creating space. That'll be the end of the Growlers' offensive there.
2 straight chest saves for Scharnberg, and there on the first save of the sequence, we saw him actually move his torso, direct the ball into the corner with his torso. That tells you he's tracking the ball very exceptionally today.
Järvinen in the center lane. Shot attempt goes off the stick there of Wille Karlberg. Alex Neumann able to recover. Deep pass looking for Nilsson. Tuukka Korhonen putting his body in the passing lane. He'll go behind himself. The shot is good. Number 50. Eetu Lehtonen able to connect for the first goal of the game.
And for Fresno, a lot of what's happening is they're trying to create transition opportunities once they take the ball over from Minnesota. And I think Minnesota is seeing this. They're able to capitalize on the turnovers at center pitch. And they're a 3-on-2. As good as Scharnberg is, it's a very difficult job to defend a 3-on-2 as a keeper in floorball. The pass going to the far wing and an easy shot and a goal, but Minnesota themselves is able to create transition opportunities off of the failed transition of Fresno. I'm curious to see if Fresno will maybe make an adjustment, settle things down offensively instead of trying to really drive the ball through the center of the pitch like they've been doing.
13 and a half minutes remaining in the first. Your score now, Fresno 4-0, Minnesota Growlers 1. Shot attempt there goes off the helmet of Scharnberg. Minnesota not taking long where they're trying to make more offensive opportunities. Lehtinen spinning around, creating space behind the goal line. Looking for an opportunity. Castellanos getting a stick low. Shot attempt by Auroila goes off the body there of David Kangas. Pushing out half court. Pass to Tuukka Hiltonen to find Lehtinen in the far corner. Amdahl and Lehtinen. Amdahl able to chip the ball away. Pass out to Kangas. He'll get the angle, and Auroila with support from Rasmus Johansson. Shot goes off the legs there of Salakangas. Able to get it to the corner. Now far side, Auroila trying to recover from Minnesota. He'll go to Lehtinen deep. That was a passing scheme that they loved last season. It's still been working this year. Samuel Linda now for the Fresno Force. Facing a 2-on-1. Julius Salakangas able to get the ball away.
Fresno, again, it looks as though they're getting a little bit out in front of their skis on this. You saw them drive the ball down. Linda and Johansson had possession, but again, just trying to go 1-on-2. Minnesota is doing a great job of basically ganging up on the ball carrier, knowing that Fresno is having a tough time hitting the trailer in those transition opportunities.
Fuchter, pass behind himself to Marcus Line. Comes to Rantala. Shot from deep, hand saved there by Scharnberg. It'll go all the way down to Melvin Mendoza in traffic. Losing control of the ball there. It sails to Pasi Arvinen, who goes down to Hugo Rovinen. Chipped away by Karlberg. Tom Fuchter's there to recover. Up and away out of bounds. It's going to be a Minnesota Growlers hit in. And you know, Trent, as you were saying, something to watch for is how Fresno is compressing themselves or spreading themselves out. During their loss to the 39ers, where we really saw them needing the most improvement was in tightening their core defense around the box. And you see it happen there. Mile Marthaler, number 28, with another goal for the Minnesota Growlers.
Hey, Tanner, today you're the one that's the fortune teller because you mentioned Fresno playing a little loose in their box yesterday. And those shots from the point area, difficult for the keeper to see. We've talked about it time and again during the first 2 days of games here in Georgetown. You have to get down on a knee. You have to be aggressive with your stick. That time, the core of the Fresno Force was a little bit loose, but they also weren't out on top of the ball. There's very little chance that Scharnberg saw that shot because we've seen him make such great hand saves to this point. It looked like he reacted somewhat late. But if you're a forward, you've got to get out, you've got to challenge, you've got to get your stick out and your knee down if at all possible so your keeper can see it even if it makes it past you.
And after Minnesota capitalized on that hit there, 11:48 remaining in the first. Minnesota now up 2 over Fresno. Ipau Roila. Over to Salakangas. Go to Hiltunen. Hiltunen passes behind himself, back to Auroila. Minnesota edging closer to half court. Mendoza coming out to meet him. Unable to block off that pass. Tito Salakangas driving down, looking for a pass inside the crease there, deflected off the body of Kim Nyberg. Shot by Hiltunen, saved by Scharnberg from close range. Chip pass off the far boards to Billy Nilsson in the center lane. Trying for a shot off the fade, but it goes straight into the hands of Pasi Arvinen. Off the boards, over to Lehtinen. Trying to get the edge. Tito Salakangas with some space here. Looking across, Ilomari Lehtinen with a powerful shot, but it sails just high and out of bounds.
And again, players are playing very upright for the Force. Sometimes this is a sign of fatigue, but there's no way that pass should get through under normal circumstances. You had 3 Force players lined up there, but no one's on a knee. No one's getting their stick low to block the pass. They simply just watched as it went by. So very lucky to get out of that with just a free hit to themselves after the shot went out of bounds. But that's the second pass in about 15 seconds through the Royal Road that the Growlers have seen.
And we can see here on the sideline, head coach of the Fresno Force currently writing on his clipboard, talking to his players around the crease. He is a legend in the floorball world, coming from Balrog, back in Scandinavia. He has led this Fresno team to greatness before. It's likely an adjustment that he's seeing now and going to make during the intermission as Fresno looks to cut back on this 2-goal lead that Minnesota has come out too early here in the first half of the first period. Etu Vanjonpa goes across over to Tom Fuchter. Center lane will pass behind himself over to Vanjonpa. Cross court over the line. Linda and Kangas staying around 3/4 court, now backing off closer to the half. Valtteri Rantala. Closer will come down to Vanjonpa. Not expecting the pass. He has to run and try and get it. Goes to his feet. Fresno capitalizing. Linda to Kangas. Shot deflected there off the body of Valtteri Rantala. Line. The pass to Fuchter. In traffic with Amdahl. Minnesota bench excited about that sequence. Now bringing in substitutions. Tuukka Korhonen on the far side. The pass back out to Marthaler.
But you see how Minnesota values the ball there. They were all applauding a pass that just went back to the D to allow them to change on the ball. That is very much the Minnesota way and something they've done very well here. Value the ball, hold about 75% of possession, and really play keep away almost from Fresno to tire out what is a 2-line team.
And it's certainly important as well because you look at Fresno and their talent is so incredible when it comes to speed, when it comes to those breakaways. We've seen them have a lot of success with that, not as much with possession. That's their style of play, and so it's a really interesting pairing to see, Trent. Now Kim Nyberg for Fresno. They'll go across to Billy Nilsson. Over to Nyberg. Fresno picking up the pace here. Neumann looking for Mendoza, but the behind-the-back pass misses its mark, goes to Jarvinen instead. Juuso Lehtiniemi. Taking a pause. He's got Korhonen back. Another substitution here from Minnesota. Fresno staying on the court. Yipa Roila, team captain of the Growlers squad, returning for his second season with the team. Now coming into the center lane. We go far side with Hiltunen. Hiltunen in the center lane will pass behind himself to Roila. The pass down. Julius Salakongas off the boards, looking deep now to Lehtinen. Trying to find Salakongas in the crease. Instead, it's stolen by Mendoza. Cross court, deep pass. We go to Billy Nilsson. Mendoza in the center, looking for Nilsson again. Hilton able to anticipate it. Lehtinen, shot attempt is good. 2-on-1 passing there. And Tito Salakongas gives the assist to Ilmari Lehtinen.
I want to call out Lehtinen's decision-making abilities here because the ball was lost by Minnesota briefly along the far boards, but Lehtinen looked up, knew that his man was going to win that board battle, so he stayed in the offensive end, and sure enough, the ball found him. When the ball finds you a lot as a player, sometimes it's luck, but most of the time it's knowing the right spots to be. Lehtinen, in that case, knew where he needed to be because he saw that his teammate was going to win the board battle, found himself in a good spot, ends up being the recipient of the give and go and pumping it home. Another excellent job by Minnesota, this time in transition. It wasn't their set offense that got the look, but a smart transition play by Lehtinen that leads to his goal.
And now with under 8 minutes remaining in the first period, the Growlers up 3 over the Force. Ball chipped out of bounds. It's going to be a Growlers hit in here. Tarantula handing off with Fuchter. Attempt goes off the body there of David Kangas. Going to the far corner, Castellanos passes out to Amdahl. Both teammates last season enjoying some new talent on their line. David Kangas driving down. Järvinen coming out to meet him. David Kangas, far side, goes to Castellanos. Rovinen backing off the pressure now for the Growlers defense. Rasmus Johansson shot attempt just saved by Pasi Järvinen. Taking time there as it looks like he took a hit.
Yeah, Linda got him right in the hand, I believe, like after Järvinen got the rebound. Järvinen is such a good goaltender at controlling the rebound, grabbing his rebound. He tracks the ball well into his chest and down. Because of that, he's going to be on the ball a lot sooner than most keepers. And so Linda thought the ball would be loose there, thought that there would be a rebound opportunity. And you know, let me tell you, when you take a shot on the hand as a goalkeeper from a stick that's going full force at you, that's how bad things can happen. You know, it might not break a hand, but it can certainly bruise a knuckle, bend fingers the wrong way. I can tell you none of my fingers are pointing the wrong way or the right way because I've taken shots like that. And so like Järvinen wisely taking time, allowing his team to reset, allowing himself to mentally reset. Going back to that shot from Johansson, I'm not entirely sure how that got through. Johansson has an uncanny ability of finding the net. Those shots through screens, as we talked about, can be so difficult for goalkeepers to track. Järvinen did a great job tracking it in, and unfortunately, he was the beneficiary of a slash to the knuckles as a result of that.
And Järvinen, of course, having a phenomenal game yesterday, able to hang on in not just an overtime, but a penalty shootout as well with some impressive goal saves against the Aviators.
And he forced a couple of Aviator shots wide. Sometimes if you see a shootout and the shot goes wide, you say, well, the goalie didn't make the save there. But it was really his aggression and the way he was playing the shooters. That's all he was giving them to look at, was trying to hit small corners, and they were forced to shoot it wide. He's a great goalie. I visited him in Lahti, Finland a few months ago when Team USA was traveling there for the 3v3s. He was playing there with his hometown team. And let me tell you, it's a beautiful city, but it's also very, very cold there most of the year. And with the transition now to the heat and humidity, this is something that a lot of goalkeepers are discussing, is how do you keep hydrated? And this is something I know that's an issue for Pasi as well. Just managing to keep hydrated, and maybe taking that break allowed him to get a little extra water, cool off a little bit, because it is so hot in here when you have all of the goalie gear on. We don't have the same benefit of the players of just being able to wear shorts and a jersey.
Rothaler now. The pass down to Bjernen in Minnesota territory. His play resumes after Pasi Järvinen returns to the court. Far side, Rothaler. Goes off the boards, Etu Letanimi. The pass back out, Korhonen not anticipating it, but no pressure here from the Fresno defense. Tuukka Korhonen now. Pausing, Mendoza now coming to meet him. And backwards pass, getting some pressure there from Billy Nilsson as well. Mothaler all the way back to the goal line, now coming back out. To go across. Finds Letanimi. First shot was blocked off the body there of Wille Karlberg. And after the rebound on the backboards, that's Scharnberg able to get to it. Billy Nilsson, center court, looking across. Neumann intending for Mendoza. Able to get it off, but it's shipped up off a stick, sailing out of bounds. It's going to be a Fresno force hit-in.
And so Järvinen and the official Yanni Sjogren were just having a little bit of a laugh because Järvinen, trying to fix his mask, nearly got caught out there for playing without the proper equipment. So everything is fixed now, and they're ready for the Fresno free hit.
Go to line, and they're working against Amdahl. Rasmus Johansson shot attempt deflected there by Järvinen. Johansson deflected there by Lehtinen. Go back out to Castellanos.
A smart play by Johansson, not trying to force anything that wasn't there, getting it back to his DN Castellanos, letting them change on the ball and kind of reset. But a little bit of a sloppy change here as Fresno only had 3 players out. Minnesota is going to capitalize.
And a shot attempt there is made. Once again, Minnesota able to strike.
And that was just simply a sloppy change by the Fresno Force. At one point in time, they only had 2 players out on the pitch. When the goal was scored, they really only had 3 players out on the pitch. Minnesota saw it, and to their credit, all 5 players in their formation pushed up to try and force Fresno into a mistake as they were changing. So the slow change for Fresno, you had people walking to the bench, slow to get back over. Minnesota recognized it and was able to capitalize. And let's not overlook the nice Zorro play inside to score the goal.
And now with 5.5 minutes remaining in the first period, your score is now Fresno Force 0, Minnesota Growlers 4.
Control play, lofting a ball to the net, try to make something happen, almost kind of playing lottery ball there a little bit. Try to get something to cut into this 4-0 lead. And again, such a tough, quick turnaround for Fresno. They've been playing with 2 lines most of this weekend, so it's going to be a difficult game if they can't get some positive momentum, something positive to feel good about where they're at going into the intermission over the next 5 minutes.
And Alex Neumann able to get the ball away there and keep the Fresno Force alive in their own box. It's going to be Fresno's ball here. Castellanos set to take it with a pass to Amdahl. Järvinen and Letanimi coming up to meet him. Pass to Linda in Minnesota territory, able to get the ball off to Johansson. 2-on-2 on the boards. Juuso Letanimi able to come away with it. Letanimi, center lane, goes straight into the hands there of Scharnberg. Far side, Jonas Castellanos. Looking across, will go off the boards to David Kangas. Far side, Tuukka Korhonen. He goes over, Johansson. Shot saved twice by Järvinen. A third save for Järvinen.
Järvinen's tracking has been excellent thus far this morning, and we see there on the double save, he's able to track his rebound across, and even though it looks like he's diving out to make the save, he's using dynamic space well, coming out to challenge where the ball is. If you're a player and you don't chip it over him, it's going to be very difficult. We saw Linda just simply pump it into his torso there. Järvinen, a great sequence of saves, but most of it is tracking and position rather than reaction time.
Hiltunen gets the ball out to Salakangas. Ipao Roila, pass behind himself. Goes down to Hiltunen, far wing. Attempt goes off the body there of Wille Karlberg. Ilmari Lehtinen trying to recover for the Growlers. He'll go down to the boards. Able to get up there after a tough hit.
Kasper Rutkowski, the reserve keeper for Fresno, doing a good job straightening out the boards.
Shot attempt, Julius Alacongas able to get to Schoenberg. Lettinen pursuing it off the rebound, unable to make it happen off a push call. This is going to be a Fresno Force free hit.
And the exact same thing we were discussing with Yarvin and Schoenberg did there. Again, the rebound, he was able to get there, track it, make his body big, pushing across. And again, it looks like the goalie might be somewhat out of control when diving, but he was basically just trying to smother that shot attempt. That time Minnesota tried to chip it over him, but again, he is so enormous that that's just not happening from that kind of an angle. Excellent goaltending both sides.
Billy Nilsson now on the wing, driving in close, going behind the goal line, looking for Mendoza there in the crease. Shot attempt by Neumann, saved by Arvinen. Coming down, Titus Alacongas with the opportunity, but it's deflected off the stick there at Kim Nyberg, captain for the Fresno squad. Neumann goes far side. Gallberg hit up in the air. Billy Nilsson. Titus Alacongas pushed back. Now Yipao Roila slowing things down in the center lane. Valtteri Rantala passes over to Roila. Mendoza backing off now for the Force defense.
And for Minnesota right now, it becomes about, we talked about how they value the ball, but it becomes about lessening the number of possessions left in the first period, if at all possible.
And a shoot and score here for the Growlers. 2 minutes left in the first period. They extend their goal to 5. You can see Oscar Viking Schoenberg sitting there in a little bit of a state of disbelief.
Yeah, on that occasion, the ball squeaking past him. It was an excellent first shot, and oftentimes if you shoot hard enough on the floorball pitch, it can squeak its way through a goalkeeper, not necessarily into the net. But Hugo Rovinen did the exact right thing there. He went to the back post. We train that backside forward all the time to go to the back post on a shot attempt, and that time he was able to find the ball in the crease, the Team USA product, able to poke it home. Hugo's such a great player. He's grown so much over the past 3 years, and he's already a one-time Troy Cup champion. He's looking for Troy Cup number 2 this season.
Johansson shot attempt connects. A quick answer for the Minnesota goal. Number 72, Trent, your player to watch this game, able to put Fresno on the board for the first time.
And Johansson, again, finds his way into that high slot area. That's his preferred area. He's got such an excellent shot from there, but a great pass from the far boards. And let me tell you, a player that I've really been impressed with so far this game is Kangas. He's been active in all the board battles. He's had an active stick, and that time it was his work that allowed Johansson to get open in the high slot and rifle it home past Yarvin.
A minute 48 left in the first period. Fresno no longer scoreless. Your score now, Fresno Force 1, Minnesota Growlers 5. The pass down to Titus Alacongas. Julius Alacongas there, the pass. Titus Alacongas to Hilton, and just wide right, saved there by Schoenberg. Billy Nilsson now on the counterattack for Fresno. The pass to Mendoza, looking back for Nilsson. Fast break defense there by Alacongas in the center lane. Ilmari Lettinen now, close wing. Hiltonen, Alacongas looking there for Lettinen, who was driving through the crease, unable to make the pass work. Wille Gallberg coming to meet Lettinen. Speeding up the passing, back and forth around the goal line here. It'll come out to Yipao Roila at the point, less than a minute remaining in the first period. Looking for Lettinen again inside the box. Shot attempt sails wide there.
Once again, we see great passing from Julius Alacongas to Lettinen, back and forth. Minnesota, that offensive possession playing much lower on the pitch. We saw Fresno, though, do a much better job of compressing their 2-1-2, and that time we saw the centering pass actually deflect away. It caused a disruption in the offensive set for Minnesota and ended up in the shot going wide.
Johansson, pass attempt chipped away there by Rantala, but he's still staying with it on the close wing. Shot attempt saved there by Pasi Järvinen. Järvinen, the pass to Rantala.
I have a good feeling Minnesota's going to look for the last shot here with 23 seconds left.
Etu Vanyonpa, close wing, still taking his time. Rantala with some space in front of him. He'll find Tom Fuchter in Fresno territory, losing some control. David Kangas going to the ground. Marcus Line, less than 10 seconds, forced out of bounds. What can he do with it? It's going to be a hit here for the Minnesota Growlers. 5 seconds left on the clock. Tom Fuchter looking for the sweep shot. Sails high, curves up, out of bounds.
And once again, the Fresno Force learning a little bit from that first situation early in the game where that wall kind of broke down. That wall stayed with Fuchter the entire time as he was dragging.
And with that, time expires at the end of the first period. Your score, Fresno Force 1, Minnesota Growlers 5. Floorball fans, don't worry. We're going to be back with another exciting period of floorball action here in less than 15 minutes between the Force and the Growlers. And stay tuned during the intermission as we bring you another exclusive NAFL player interview. Well, floorball fans of the North American Floorball League, we've just gotten done with the first period of play here between the Minnesota Growlers and the Fresno Force. I'm joined by number 28, Mile Mothaler. How are you feeling after that first period?
Yeah, I think we had a good period. Good start. We scored a lot of goals, but now it's like the key to keep it up the level and not to let it go. Let's keep the intensity up, I would say, yeah.
What do you think was the biggest key to success that allowed you and your team to come out to such an early lead here against Fresno?
I would say we played like quite calm and without stress, like just played our thing, doesn't focus on the opponent, just played our stuff down, and I think that worked quite okay, I would say.
And Mile, obviously you've come to a team that has championship hopes, and a lot of that is thanks to the veterans from last season who made it to the semifinal. What's it been like for you as a new member of the Growlers to integrate with the existing talent?
Yeah, all of the team are like really nice guys. Like for me, it's very easy to get in the team. Like they get me nice, and I would say like we have a good chemistry also in the team. That's very nice and very fun to play with them.
Very well. Well, best of luck in the second and third. Thanks for joining us. Floorball fans, don't worry. We'll be right back with more exciting action between the Force and the Growlers. Well, Floorball fans, it's almost time to head back down to the court for what's set to be a great second period here between the Fresno Force and the Minnesota Growlers. But first, we'd like to remind you about our sponsors. First of all, the Finnish Bistro. The Finnish Bistro is a beloved local gym offering a full-service coffee bar, authentic European cuisine, and a delightful bakery. Whether you're in the mood for a rich cup of coffee, a delectable pastry, or a hearty European meal, the Finnish Bistro has something to satisfy every palate. Located at 2264 Como Avenue in St. Paul, Minnesota, we invite you to explore the delicious offerings at the Finnish Bistro. And of course, our clothing partner for the 2024 NAFL season, Kempa. If you like what our referees are wearing, then you like Kempa. And the NAFL is also proud to announce its new Floorball partnership for the 2024 NAFL season with Fat Pipe, bringing you the latest in floorball technology combined with beautiful Swiss media yellow. Every floorball you see on an NAFL court is Fat Pipe. And floorball fans, if you're looking for the statistics to this or any other NAFL game, past, present, or future, you can always go online to sportninja.com or download the app to view the statistics.
But Tanner, one thing Sport Ninja tells us after one period, Minnesota outshot Fresno 20-10. 20 shots in one period. That's incredible for Minnesota. But I will tell you this, Fresno clamped down defensively over the last 4 to 5 minutes. Can they take that defensive momentum, bring it into this period? I think that's where step number one comes from Fresno. Hold Minnesota off the scoreboard for a little bit, then focus on getting Johansson and Nielsen the ball offensively, maybe turn things around from there. But it's all going to start with defensive shape for Fresno and making sure their goalie doesn't have to face another 20 shots.
Exactly. And of course, Scharnberg doing a phenomenal job. 75% saves there, and we saw exactly why. His size and his ability with his hands. Fresno certainly has all the makings to have phenomenal defense here in the second period. They, of course, were able to get on the board there before the end of the first. We'll see if they're going to carry that. And now a mad grab for possession in Minnesota territory. Mendoza still pursuing. It'll finally get out to number 24, Tuukka Korhonen. Etuletanimi. Off the backboards, looking for Korhonen, but the pass sailing wide. Nilsson out to Neumann. The sweep shot instead was going to be a pass to Mendoza, but it sails just a little bit wide. Neumann going to the ground. Letanimi going to the boards, and it's going to be a Growlers free hit.
This is the second time in the last 5 minutes of gameplay Mendoza's had a good opportunity, but he's been on his backhand for it. Earlier it was on a rush where he got caught on his backhand. Just unfortunate circumstances. He's in the right spot, but they're just finding the wrong side of his stick, so to speak. We'll see if Fresno moves things around to maybe facilitate him being on his strong side more on those rushes or those net front opportunities.
Exactly, and those rushes are exactly where he and a lot of the new talent that Fresno's brought in over the offseason shines. We've seen their speed, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can get some goals here off the transition. Right now, it's Yipa Arroyo for the Growlers who go far side. It's got Julius Salakangas. Tito Salakangas now cycling in the backcourt. The pass back out to Arroyo, far wing now with Hiltonen. Minnesota picking up the pace here on the passing now. Julius Salakangas driving towards the goal. Shot attempt goes out the body of Adrian Amdahl, number 9. Amdahl, the pass over to Samuel Linda, far side. Attempt for Johansson, blocked by Hiltonen. Able to get the ball back in Fresno territory and hold on to it. The pass to Tito Salakangas over to Hiltonen. He connects. Julius Salakangas with the first goal of the second period.
Julius Salakangas finishes it, but once again, it's that cross-court pass that Minnesota opens up. And that was kind of a secondary transition opportunity for Minnesota. So it wasn't a primary transition, but they were able to keep Fresno moving around. And again, we see Fresno's defensive shape very loose in the middle that allowed that cross-pitch pass to go over from right to left or goalies left to right. And once again, Scharnberg, no opportunity to stop that. Great ball movement for the Growlers, and exactly what Fresno did not want to see is that secondary transition goal to start off the second period.
And after that Growlers score, it's now with 18 minutes, 16 seconds remaining in the second. Fresno 1, Minnesota 6. Minnesota able to re-extend their lead to 5 goals. Fresno now going to need to look to make some more changes. Billy Nilsson going to the far wing. Off the boards, deep. Mendoza finds it in the corner. Etrevanian for defense. He has support there from Wille Karlberg. They get the ball out, but it's shipped off the leg of Rovinen. Now John Future on the counterattack. Future, the pass to Rovinen. Just a little bit too much bounce. It sails high. It'll be a Fresno ball. Number 78, team captain Kim Nyberg set to take it. Over to Neumann. Looking across. Pass taken there by Valtteri Rantala. Able to get it to Vanyonpa. Mendoza still pursuing. Vanyonpa over the line, close side. Goes off the legs there of Neumann. Tom Fuchter still able to hold on to it for the Growlers. The rest of his team not coming to support, instead staying around half court. Kim Nyberg able to take it inside the box there. Marcus Line not quitting. Pass to Wille Karlberg, back to Nyberg as now the rest of the Growlers retreat. They'll look to make substitutions here, both teams. Rasmus Johansson now leading out this line for the Fresno Force. Going to capitalize on a bit of the open space there. Now pass cross court to Adrian Amdahl. Trying to get around Fuchter. Pass over to David Kangas. Chipped up in the air there off the stick of Tom Fuchter. Ball sent down into Fresno territory. Number 61, Jonas Castellanos, there to recover. Johansson slowing again. To Letanimi, the up man here for Minnesota's defense. Adrian Amdahl calling for a pass. Instead of going to the center to David Kangas. Intercepted there. Juuso Letanimi with some velocity. Over to Emily Bjerninen. That pass sailing just wide, unable to get the shot attempt off. Now down Johansson. The spin around Bjerninen. Able to create some space. Amdahl wide open, left side. Deflected off the body there. Mile Motthaler getting deep. Motthaler again, great defense blocking that pass. Tuukka Korhonen to Eetu Letanimi, saved. But now Fresno on the counterattack, chipped away by Letanimi. After going to the boards, Minnesota still maintaining possession.
And again, a circumstance there where Fresno had David Kangas forward, but he was going 1-on-2, didn't have a lot of help, and so felt the need to pressure through that. Ends up in a turnover. Now Minnesota gets to change on the ball, both teams actually changing, and Minnesota gets to set up offensively. But I think that typifies what we've seen from Fresno so far in this game. They find themselves in a lot of 1-on-2 battles, and it's very, very difficult to win those type of battles if you're playing good floorball.
And Minnesota keeping the pressure on. Hilton and shot sailing wide around Scharnberg. Kim Nyberg fighting hard deep in his own territory. Wille Karlberg able to get it out to half court. Now sent to the far boards. Mendoza unable to recover. Shot attempt by Lehtinen sails up and away off the body of Alex Neumann. And Fresno, a team that has had to make a lot of changes when it comes to their personnel, losing their top scorer, Matt Smith. Now the returning core represented by Alex Neumann, Jonas Castellanos, and Kim Nyberg. Neumann and Castellanos tied to be the second and third top scorers for the Force. Last season, they've been making a big impact here. Nilsson going to the ground now, Lehtinen. The pass to Auroila, far side, Tito Salakonga, shot saved. Minnesota still trying to maintain possession. They've been able to have this aggressive passing all game. Deflected off the body of Neumann there. Now Auroila still with the ball in Minnesota territory now. Mendoza at the half court to meet him. Samuel Linda, another aggressive defender here for the Fresno Force in. Marcus Line facing pressure, passes back out to Auroila. Over 5 minutes have passed here in the second period. Fresno still scoreless, but Neumann on the breakaway. The pass to Mendoza, over to Linda, it's good! Samuel Linda, his second year in the NAFL, able to convert for the Force.
And that was created because a Minnesota player, I think it might have been lying on the near side, I didn't catch exactly who it was, dropped his stick. And in floorball, you have to go back and pick up your stick. You can't play without your stick. It's illegal to do that. So he had to go back, pick up his stick, and that allowed Linda to flow to the net. So basically, Linda was unmarked coming back. Minnesota's done such a great job tracking back and transition, but that time physically couldn't because of the drop stick. And as a result, just a solid play to finish off what became a 2-on-0 by Fresno.
Scharnberg nearly losing sight of it, but able to save it with a sweep of his legs. Fresno staying alive now on the board here in the second period. It seems they took it personally when 5 seconds before I said they were still scoreless in the second. 14 seconds remaining. It's now Fresno 2, Minnesota 6. Far side, Castellanos coming in the center lane. Tom Fuchter unable to switch back on the passing lane. He gets to Johansson. The pass behind himself. Amdahl, far side. Linda back to Amdahl.
We should mention that Fresno goal, the table was set for it by an excellent save from Scharnberg on a down low 3-on-2. And now Fresno once again with possession.
Tassi Arvin unable to fall on the ball there. He'll pass it over to Eetu Vanyonpa. Vanyonpa, far side. He's got Björnen in front of him. The pass to Rantala behind him. The steal by Billy Nilsson. Over to Mendoza. Back to Nilsson. Looking for Neumann. He'll be taken out there. So will Valtteri Rantala in a collision on the close side of the box. Referee's going to take time to allow him to get back up to his feet.
Now, legs got tangled up there, and that's what caused Neumann to go spilling to the floor. And Billy Nilsson, oftentimes in floorball, we say that you play on your off wing. So he's a right-handed shot. He plays left wing. Found himself on that rush on the right wing, so he was having to pass kind of back across his body. Made it a difficult play for Neumann going to the back post. But still, you like what you've seen from Fresno, starting with the sequence from that save from Scharnberg, leading up to the Linda goal, and now they've been buzzing. They can get maybe the next goal in this one. It starts to turn that momentum a little bit.
Nilsson, the pass to Mendoza off the free hit. Unable to connect, chipped out of bounds. It's going to be ruled a hit in here for the Force. Billy Nilsson getting set to take it here. He'll have Mendoza on the far side. Neumann close for support.
Juuso Lehtiniemi is doing such a great job on that back post, directing traffic for Minnesota.
And the ball stopped there at half court, but it's still going to be a free hit here for the Growlers.
And Lehtiniemi is a big reason, even though he didn't have his stick on that ball in particular. He was directing traffic and directed the traffic right to that ball interception there. So again, Juuso Lehtiniemi doing excellent work as kind of the quarterback of the Minnesota defense on those free hits from the corner from Fresno.
Far side, Lehtiniemi off the boards. Will find Björnen and with speed on the angle. Coming around. Playing ring around the rosy there. The pass to Lehtiniemi. Unable to get a shot attempt off from it, but now Lehtiniemi still with possession. He'll pass to Tuukka Korhonen. Korhonen backing off. In the center, looking for Juuso Lehtiniemi. But a shot sailing high, staying in bounds. Lehtiniemi. And able to get a ball off there with heavy stick defense from Wille Karlberg. Karlberg going to the boards. It'll be a Fresno Force free hit here as new lines come out for both teams. Number 9, Adrian Amdahl set to take it. Fresno not going to waste any time there. Rasmus Johansson pausing with the ball. Titus Arakangas coming up to meet him. Amdahl now in the close wing. In the center, Samuel Linda shot, trying to make it a line drive. Instead, it's a pop fly. Now it'll be Minnesota Growlers on the inbound. Auroila far side with Julius Arakangas. Just over 12 minutes remaining in the second period. Minnesota regaining some time of possession here and holding on to their 4-goal lead as Fresno turned up the heat earlier this period. Lehtinen with Titus Arakangas fast passing behind the goal line. Amdahl trying to cut off that lane, unable to. Auroila coming up for support at the front of the box. He'll go across the crease. Over to Titus Arakangas again, losing control of the ball there on the sweep pass, but he's still able to get it out. Julius Arakangas now at the point. David Kangas coming up to meet him. Titus Arakangas, the pass to Auroila. He'll have Lehtinen for support. Lehtinen losing control of the ball. Samuel Linda on the steal across to David Kangas. Shipped behind him. Auroila able to deflect it off his body, but Amdahl with a lot of speed and aggression still able to keep Fresno's hopes for an offensive drive alive here. Rasmus Johansson now in the close wing as Fresno settles into Minnesota territory. Jonas Castellanos at half court. Chipped away there by Lehtinen off the stick. Up in the air. He's able to get it to the boards. He'll send it down to Jipe Auroila. Minnesota's bench applauding there as they're able to retake possession.
And again, you see the fundamental difference between these two teams. Minnesota, when they overtake the ball at center, get it back to the D, let's change on the ball, let's control the pace of the game. When Fresno gets the ball, they take off like a house of fire. That time they were almost able to get a secondary look, but still the drive stalled out somewhat. One thing I will call out, Fresno's playing a lot tighter with their defensive formation this period with the previous line. This line stretching it out a little bit more.
Nilsson over to Mendoza, it's good! Off the steal, pass in play. Melvin Holm Mendoza able to convert here for the Fresno Force.
Billy Nilsson is a player where you have to play pass first. That's a difficult thing to do when he gets the ball in the slot. So a turnover caused by the aggressive push of Billy Nilsson's line for Fresno leads to a 3-on-2. Leads to Nilsson getting the ball in the slot. If you're a keeper, you know he's got a pretty good shot. You also know he wants to pass first, so you kind of have to play both ends of it. That time, Mendoza was the beneficiary, as Nilsson waited until the last possible moment to make that choice to pass it over. Not much the keeper could do in Pasi Arvinen.
And it's exactly like you're saying, Trent. Fresno is so great at just putting on the pressure on those quick ball changes. That's exactly what Mendoza was doing, driving down with such speed and aggression. When Nilsson decided to make that pass, there was no choice left. That's where we see Fresno really shine. We're going to see here as we get closer to the second half of the second period whether they can keep that up, keep that energy high, as now they've lessened the lead of Minnesota to 3. Your score, Force 3, Growlers 6. Kokoronen, the pass to Emily Björninen. With some speed in the center lane, driving close. Shot goes off the helmet there of Scharnberg. Billy Nilsson now with Mendoza for support. Mendoza saved by Pasi Arvinen. But Wille Karlberg able to be the finisher on what gives me deja vu with that fast break. They certainly kept up the pressure. Melvin Mendoza with the assist there to Wille Karlberg.
And give heads up to Karlberg there. Because the forward Neumann was stuck in a defensive posture, Karlberg saw that, ran up onto the play. So we had a 2-on-1 at first with Nilsson and Mendoza, but Karlberg saw the need to pinch up into the play from his defensive position, knowing that Neumann was further back, and he gets a very rotund rebound, able to pump it home. On that sweep shot, he was sweeping to his left, shot back to his right, and a very difficult shot for any goalkeeper to stop, much less a goalkeeper that's trying to make a double save. So good placement on the shot, but good wherewithal to jump into the play. Time, place puts Fresno between now within 2.
And halfway through the match now as we enter the back 10 minutes of the second period. Your score, Fresno Force 4, Minnesota Growlers 6. Those defensive adjustments combined with good opportunities have been working well for the Force so far this second period. Able to come out on top in terms of scoring this period. And Johansson driving down, shot saved by Arvinen. Unable to get to the rebound in time. Yipa Roila able to stop on a dime there. He'll go with a pass out to Titas Alacangas. 2-on-1, he'll go with a high pass back to Al Roila. Give his team time to slow down. Go far side.
In any team sport, when a team comes back on you, it kind of plants a seed in your brain when you have a lead, whether it's a 3-goal lead, 4-goal lead, whatever. And we saw Minnesota have a close call with Seattle 2 days ago. We saw Minnesota give up a comeback to Ohio yesterday before eventually winning in overtime. So that seed's been planted already, and now they're looking at this game. They led by 4 at one point in time. That's been cut to 2, and you start to wonder if they start to squeeze their sticks a little bit more, play a little bit more nervously, and it's caused a few more turnovers. This has been a good settle-down shift for Minnesota. They're taking their time, they're taking what's there, and it starts with Royle. He's such a good decision maker. He's not overly ambitious in what he does. He plays within himself, he plays within the system. So this is a great shift to put him out there, settle down the Growlers there, and start to maybe put some poison on that seed a little bit, if you will.
Titas Alacangas attempts sailing wide right, but Lehtinen waiting there, spying, able to get away with it. Hiltunen on the sweep spin, loses control. Johansson looking for Kangas, deflected by Alroila. Linda and Castellanos there still to recover at half court. Amdahl across to Johansson. Johansson driving in, shot off the right post. Off the rebound, David Kangas tries 3 times to get it in, unable to. Transition here for both teams. Pasi Arvinen. The slow pass down to Valtteri Rantala. They go across to Etevanyanpa. Mendoza pressing up here for Fresno. He's got Fuchter and Rovinen deep, waiting towards the crease instead of go to Vanyanpa.
We mentioned the need for the shutdown shift, and Arroyo that time on the defensive end broke up a 2-on-1 and made sure that Kangas couldn't get to that rebound opportunity. So once again, a good shutdown shift for Arroyo. Now Minnesota can shift back into offensive gear, shift back into looking for that goal to push it back to a 3-goal lead.
Rantala doing that with some speed, 2-on-1 in the far corner, able to get it around Neumann, shipped up by Fuchter, shoulder-to-shoulder contact. Now it's Billy Nilsson on the close wing, the pass deflected off the body of Etevanyanpa. Now it's Billy Nilsson getting the ball back out to number 78, Kim Nyberg. Looking across to Wille Karlberg, Tom Fuchter able to break it up with the stick and force it back to in his own territory. Kim Nyberg down to Nilsson, back out to Nyberg. He goes across to Wille Karlberg. 7 minutes remaining in the second period. Far side, Neumann to Karlberg in center lane. Down to Nilsson. Mendoza in the box. Nilsson being forced back there by Vanyanpa. He'll draw a foul. It's going to be Fresno's hit. Nilsson looking in close. Mendoza with an impressive chip shot. The ball still loose there after Neumann tried to get a rebound off Järvinen. Now it's Future fighting for possession. He'll lose his glasses. Shot attempt just saved by Scharnberg. Wheeler Karlberg leading out this new shift for Fresno. Castellanos holding the ball. He's got Kangas close side. Etuletanimi coming up here for the Growlers. Rasmus Johansson cycling in the center. Off the boards, we'll find Linda in Minnesota territory. Linda back out to Castellanos. Chipped off the body there of Emily Bjernen, and he's got the speed and the angle to get to it. The pass looking across, unable to connect to Motthaler, but Etuletanimi there to recover, but with 2 men in the box, Fresno able to come away with it. Adrian Amdahl, number 9, pausing at his own goal line, will pass down the line to Kangas. He's got Letanimi closing off behind him and Motthaler in front of him. Minnesota on the turnover, but once again, they'll lose control. Johansson with 2 blocks in a row. Amdahl pausing as Castellanos tells him to take time. Johansson on the far side, shot wide left out of bounds. It'll be a Fresno force hit in. Number 89, Juuso Letanimi, a little slow to get up there, favoring his leg. Number 24 of the force, Melvin Mendoza, checking on him.
And Nielsen comes over to give him a stick tap as well. He'll change himself off. The Arroyo line comes back on for Minnesota to play against the Nielsen line. Oh, what a backdoor opportunity.
Jarvinen able to swat the ball back to the backboards after Mendoza nearly able to come from behind. Ball chipped out of bounds. It's going to be a Fresno force hit in here. They've been able to put on the pressure as we get to the last minutes of the second period, and they've done it pretty consistently here. Neumann chipping the ball to Mendoza, trying to box out Salakangas. Both of them losing sight of the ball in the midst of the contact. Gave room for Neumann to get a pass off. Billy Nilsson, ball deflected there off the body of Yipa Arroyo. Kim Nyberg now, the pass to Mendoza. Shot wide left off the backboards. Billy Nilsson taking his time, chipped up in the air, out of bounds as both he and Lehtinen go to the ground. It'll be Fresno's ball on the hit end.
In the first period, the theme was Fresno's defense being a little bit looser in the middle, allowing some of those cross passes. We're seeing the same exact thing from Minnesota here in the second period. Lots of cross passes. Fortunately for the Growlers, Fresno hasn't been able to capitalize on several of them. They've managed to get a couple of goals here, but overall, we've seen Minnesota's defense be pulled out a little bit more than they would probably like, including that backdoor pass. And once again, as we talked about with Fresno, those passes cannot get through if you're the near side D. You have to stop it at any cost. And Nielsen has had a great shift. He'll look to continue it with this free hit formation. Minnesota only with 2 in their wall up top.
And it seems for Fresno, the biggest threat from Minnesota's passing was the depth and the arrangement of the players. For Minnesota, where Fresno's been able to hurt the most on the passing game is in the speed. And Fresno seems to be tapping into that more and more with every shift that comes out, every adjustment. Now with the ball again, Billy Nilsson, center lane, down to Wille Karlberg. In the center to Neumann, saved by Arvinen, able to grab that rebound. He'll pass down to Valtteri Rantala. Less than 5 minutes remaining in the second period. Now a scoring drought after Fresno came up with 2 goals to close the lead. Tom Fuchter back down to Marcus Line. Over to Etu Vanjonpa. Fresno staying around the half-court point. Fuchter coming in the center now. Mendoza releasing, pushing Vanjonpa to the goal, trying to capitalize, able to break him up. They'll draw the foul there. On the reach around the back call, it's going to be a Growlers ball. Mendoza still able to throw Etu Vanjonpa off there, however. One of the biggest keys, Trent, with that kind of aggressive play isn't always even getting to the ball and creating the opportunities, but it's the mental game as well, the pressure and not allowing them to have that passing dominance and superiority in their own territory.
You're absolutely correct, and you see it result in a turnover to the force and an opportunity right here.
And a hard hit there towards the backboards. It'll be a Fresno force free hit here. Adrian Amdahl sending it over as his new line comes out to take it. 4 minutes, 9 seconds remaining in the second period. Fresno with an opportunity here. Kangas goes down to Castellanos at half court. He finds Amdahl far side. Letanimi trying to cut off that pass lane. He'll have to find Johansson in the center. Trying to stop the ball up and around. Juuso Letanimi just results in it being chipped up. Now the Growlers pass pass over to Edgelettinimi. Far side, it's him on Amdahl for possession. The same story we saw on the other side of the court just moments ago. Emily Biernanen. Pass deflected there by Amdahl. He'll have to go down to Mile Mothaler. Biernanen, a spin and shoot goes off the body of Rasmus Johansson. He'll try to field the ball with Biernanen, able to come away with the steal, driving in close. So pass, shot attempt by Tuukka Korhonen, saved by Oscar Viking Schoenberg. Schoenberg looking for a man to pass to, advantage granted here. Far side, Rasmus Johansson. Down to Kim Nyberg. Nyberg, a player who wasn't necessarily the flashiest last season for Fresno when it came to goal scoring, but he was certainly a stalwart of Fresno's team, a phenomenal leader of the Swedish talent that came in and has only been expanded through this offseason. Shot attempt from deep there by Dita Salakangas goes off the helmet of Schoenberg. Seems Schoenberg and Captain Kim Nyberg both talking here around the box. 2 thumbs up from Schoenberg. It seems that Fresno's goalkeeper likes what they've been seeing. The pass down to Billy Nilsson. Across through 2 sets of legs by my eye. An impressive pass, but there's no one home to catch it. Ilmari Lehtinen looking to Tuukka Hiltunen there towards the box, sailing just wide. Wille Karlberg there to recover for Fresno. 2.5 minutes remaining in the second period. Now it's Alex Neumond here for the Fresno Force.
It's kind of easy for it to get lost because Fresno's been down for most of this game. But again, Schoenberg is the reason this game is even within 2.
Mendoza, double shot attempt saved by Arvinen. Rebound going wide. He'll get it to Billy Nilsson. The inverse of what happened earlier. Billy Nilsson's spine on the backside of the goal takes the assist from Mendoza.
So on one side, on the left side, Minnesota's D was playing too far back off of the ball, and that gave the angle for the pass. On the other side, Arroyo was just a little bit too high. I don't think he knew that Nilsson had shifted down to beside the net. And he's an excellent player in terms of volleying the ball home. So that was a great pass onto the back door, but it's caused once again by that stagger in the Minnesota defense and not playing low enough. So there was that passing lane caused by the stagger, and then an excellent job, the wherewithal to get it to the back post, knowing that Nielsen could put it in even if it's in midair.
And now with 2 minutes remaining in the second period, this ball game getting closer and closer. Your score, Fresno Force 5, Minnesota Growlers 6. And as you mentioned earlier, Trent, it's going to be interesting to see how the Growlers are able to finish out as we look forward to the third period, because we've seen some comebacks from both teams they've met, making the score closer than perhaps they're comfortable with. And of course, going to a penalty shootout yesterday in their matchup against the Ohio Aviators. We'll see if they allow Fresno even more room to perhaps take the lead here or make this a tie ball game. 1.5 minutes remaining. Now Amdahl inbounding here for the Fresno Force. That's Letanimi, the up man here for the Growlers defense. Johansson moving through traffic. Ball chipped up by Mothaler. Over to Bjernanen. Spinning 3-on-1. He'll lose possession. Rasmus Johansson. The pass looking for David Kangas. Broken up by Mothaler. And a heavy whistle there as it's going to be a free hit for the Fresno Force. Billy Nilsson coming out, set to take it. Go to Nyberg behind himself. Lehtinen coming up. A little bit more aggression here, looking to stop the passing lane, but he gets it across court to Billy Nilsson, moving in space around Al Royal, looking for Mendoza, but Järvinen able to sprawl out with help from his defenders. There was no shot there, and a deep pass ends up sailing to Viking Schoenberg. Nyberg with a mistake there on the pass, expecting Nilsson to flow behind him, nearly gave Ilmari Lehtinen an opportunity. 50 seconds remaining here in the second period. Fresno, but perhaps one last chance here to make this a tie ball game heading into the third. They've already gained so much momentum. It's going to have to be great for their locker room as they head into intermission. Kangas off the boards will find Billy Nilsson. 30 seconds remaining in the second period. Shot attempt from deep off the body of Järvinen, and he'll save the rebound as well. A third by Nyberg, sails wide. Now to Lehtinen, 20 seconds left. The pass to Jipa Auroila, advantage granted to the Growlers off the boards far side. Julia Salakangas taking his pause. Mendoza trying to force one move in the last 10 seconds here of the second period. Will Minnesota take it? Pass to Salakangas, shot from deep. Surprisingly on goal, sails wide right. Auroila trying to find Julia Salakangas in the box, unable to. At the end of the second period, Your score now, Fresno Force 5, Minnesota Growlers 6, and what has been an exciting match. Floorball fans, you're not going to want to miss the conclusion to this matchup. We'll be back in just 12 short minutes with an exciting third period conclusion to the game. And of course, stay tuned during the intermission as we bring you another exclusive NAFL player interview. Done with an energetic second period of play here between the Fresno Force and the Minnesota Growlers. I'm joined here by the man of the hour, number 73, Billy Nilsson. How are you feeling after the second?
Much better than the first one. It's like a different game. We stepped everything up, so it feels good right now.
What do you think was the biggest change that you made coming out of the locker room into the second period that contributed to your success here?
We talked about the mistakes we did in the first one, and we played much better this one. It's the energy, it's the focus on the ball, strength on the ball. It's just everything is much better, and we have people in front of the net, so it's just everything is changed. I think it was just the mentality. Everybody was a bit pissed. So yeah.
And we've seen a lot of great passing chemistry from your team in the second period, especially you and Melvin Mendoza. How do you think you've been able to best develop that chemistry in order to create those great passes and scores that we've seen?
Yeah. We play like 1 or 2 periods together, so it's just we just play our own game and try to read each other, and it works good. I like to play with fast players that can help me with my passing. Yeah.
Well, best of luck in the third period, Billy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Floorball fans, don't go anywhere just yet. We'll be back in less than 10 minutes with the exciting third period of play between the Fresno Force and the Minnesota Growlers. Well, Floorball fans, it's almost time to head back down to the court for what's set to be a great conclusion of play here between the Force and the Growlers. But first, we'd like to remind you about our sponsors. First, the Finnish Bistro. Finnish Bistro is a beloved local gem offering a full-service coffee bar, authentic European cuisine, and a delightful bakery. Whether you're in the mood for a rich cup of coffee, a delectable pastry, or a hearty European meal, the Finnish Bistro has something to satisfy every palate. Located at 2264 Como Avenue in St. Paul, Minnesota, we invite you to explore the delicious offerings at the Finnish Bistro. And of course, the 2024 clothing partner of the NAFL is Kempa. If you like what our referees are wearing, then you like Kempa. And the NAFL is proud to announce its Floorball partnership for the 2024 season with Fat Pipe, bringing you the latest in floorball technology in beautiful Swiss media yellow. Every floorball you see this season is Fat Pipe. And don't forget, NAFL fans, to download the Sport Ninja app or go online to sportninja.com to view the statistics for this and every other NAFL game, past or present. Now, Trent, as we head down for the third period, it's been interesting. We've seen a period of dominance from the Growlers and really Fresno coming into their own, especially in that back half of the second period, putting on the pressure. It's a battle between system and speed here. What do you think is going to be the key for both of these teams coming into play to bring this home?
We mentioned over the last 5 minutes of the first period, Fresno had much better defensive shape. That shape persisted into the second period. They only gave up one goal. Jarnberg was equal to the task on every other shot, and then Fresno was able to make things happen with their pressure like we're seeing here. So if Fresno holds their defensive shape, that will allow them to put pressure on Minnesota and get chances just like that one.
Mendoza shot off the post there, but Fresno keeping up the pressure early to start off this match. Neumann. Push back here, we're seeing a heavy press there from Bjernen, trying to check Nyberg. Will go far side, Nilsson. Pass to Mendoza. He gets the shot off, but it's saved by Arvinen. He'll get it down to Bjernen. Ball sailing too wide for him to make an opportunity. Now spinning around the shot. Sails up and out over the thigh of Scharnberg.
And a good job by Neumann, who's really the forward back on defense in that circumstance as they were pinching, Fresno was. He's able to get in front of that shot, block it out of bounds, and once again we talk about the tight defensive shape for Fresno. I think that's going to lead to offensive opportunities at the other end if they keep it up.
Pass to Lehtinen around the goal line, now coming up on the close wing. They go to Alroila, over to Salakangas. Down the boards to Lehtinen, driving in traffic, losing sight of the ball. It goes to Rasmus Johansson. A 2-on-3 there, tries a shot attempt, but it gets off the stick of Alroila. Linda coming to meet him, the pass. Hilton into Salakangas across. Julia Salakangas far side with a little bit of room. Back out to Alroila as Minnesota taking a bit of a pause. D to Salakangas looking inside the box there to Lehtinen, but it's chipped up by Amdahl, and Johansson able to send it to the boards. Chipped up in the air again, Johansson using his foot to get around it. He'll get around Salakangas. The pass over to Kangas, it's good! Fresno able to tie up the ball game. Number 37, David Kangas of the Force, coming away with that one off the assist.
And as you mentioned, Tanner, it's a matchup between system and speed, and that time speed bit system. Johansson able to use his speed to push down the floor. Kangas did a great job just making a beeline towards the backside, that back post, and took his time once the ball got to him to finish it off, was very patient as Pasi Arvinen drove over. Now Pasi Arvinen came up a little bit, favoring maybe the back of his ankle or his Achilles on his right foot. So we'll keep an eye on that. But Pasi's also a guy who knows that sometimes it's important to take time to get the team reset. Either way, now we have a tie game, and Minnesota once again has watched a lead evaporate, just like they did in the last couple of games. Fresno with the last 4 goals unanswered.
Fresno recovering there off the face-off. It's a tie ball game now with 18 minutes remaining in the third. Fresno 6, Minnesota 6. Karlberg, the pass to Nilsson. Fresno not letting up just yet. The pass to Neumann, shot sailing wide. Out of bounds. We're going to call it was chipped. It'll be a Fresno forced in. Mendoza and Nilsson taking it. They've been an exciting duo to watch. We spoke to Billy Nilsson during the intermission. He told us even though he's played only a few periods with Melvin Mendoza, they both play each other's game, and it works well, the two of them, with a similar natural strategy. Billy Nilsson saying he loves fast players, and Melvin Mendoza, the Filipino, has given him every opportunity to play that way. And Neumann.
Pardon me, Tanner. I was talking to some of my Texas 39ers teammates during the intermission. I said, what do you think was the turning point? And they said, it's the pressure from Melvin Mendoza. It's very clear. He's so fast. He plays forward so well. And he was able to kind of pressure the Growlers defenders into making mistakes, which allowed Billy Nielsen to kind of play his game, which is more of a stagnant game along the boards.
Shot attempt there by Johansson goes off the body of Juuso Lehtiniemi. Now Björninen on the counter with a lot of speed, coming in close, but he loses control at the very last second, unable to finish, and it sails into the hands of Scharnberg. Johansson, shot goes on the outside of the goal, back in Minnesota territory. Tuukka Korhonen having to add some speed to get the pass out to Björninen. Looking for Mothaler, but it's chipped away at the last second, unable to turn on the dime there to get to it. Samuel Lindra sends it into open space where Eetu Lehtiniemi is waiting as the entirety of Minnesota comes back to the bench for substitutions. Now Yipao Roila, team captain, coming back out. Melvin Mendoza playing a little bit back. Julius Salakangas now forced to go down to Hiltunen. He'll find Lehtinen. Tuukka Hiltunen shot. Center mass of Scharnberg. Mendoza chips it over to Nilsson, now in the center lane. Mendoza able to get it towards the edge of the box, but the backhand slap sails high out of bounds. It'll be a Minnesota Growlers ball. Now Roila down to Salakangas. Far side, Tuukka Hiltunen. Close side, Salakangas looking in the center to Hiltunen again. Shot on the ground, sails wide right. Wille Karlberg there for Fresno, facing a 2-on-1 behind his own goal. Hiltunen, pass goes off the body of number 78, Kim Nyberg. Roila with the chest hit, but he loses control on the rebound. Wille Karlberg nearly on target, and Mendoza finishes. Wille Karlberg, Billy Nilsson, and of course, Melvin Mendoza leading the charge there, able to convert and put Fresno in the lead for the first time this game.
And where Fresno's gotten some of their better offensive looks have been with Karlberg stepping up in an offensive role. That time he communicated with Neumann, they switched, Karlberg stepped up on the play, generated the initial shot that resulted in the bouncing ball. And Mendoza's already come up with a couple of 50-50 balls in and around the crease. A deserved goal there, as you had Nielsen driving the net on the near post. You had Mendoza go to the low slot area waiting for that bouncing ball, and once again Karlberg has done such a great job jumping up on the play, exchanging with Neumann, and it gets Fresno another goal.
And now driving to the goal, it's Marcus Line, ball sailing out of bounds. Just under 5 minutes have elapsed here in the third period, and the narrative of the game continues to change. Now for the third match in a row, Minnesota has allowed their opponent to put some serious goals on them with runs, and this time it's resulting in Fresno taking the lead. We'll see what Minnesota is able to do to put themselves back on top. Valtteri Rantala facing a little bit of pressure there from David Kangas. Will go out to Eetu Vanjonpa around three-quarters court. Back to Rantala. Pressing in the center, he'll go to Line. Looking down for Rovin, it sails wide. Fuchter facing a push there. It'll be Minnesota ball. Both teams bringing out new lines.
Minnesota hustling out, trying to beat the Fresno change. That time the Fresno change was crisp. They had 5 players on the floor before Minnesota did.
Kim Nyberg looking for some room. He'll find it, getting the angle there on Björninen. Over to Nilsson, back to Nyberg. He'll lose control of the ball at the last second, unable to finish. Wille Karlberg with some speed, trying to match Björninen. He'll have to pass back down to Korhonen. It'll be Björninen back to Korhonen. He'll go over, working with Juuso Lehtiniemi. Björninen boxed out there by Neumann, and Mendoza cutting off the cross-court angle. He had to go back to Korhonen, and now it's Juuso Lehtiniemi looking on the far side to Eetu Lehtiniemi. Chipped up out of bounds. It's going to be a Growlers hit-in. Eetu Lehtiniemi set to take it.
And at this point, Neumann seems to know the offensive movement. What a save by Scharnberg.
Yes.
That was a massive, massive save at this point in the game. But at this point, they seem to know the Growlers' offensive movement, where they're spinning with the ball. And there's a few players that are doing basically the same thing every time they get the ball. Neumann's reading it well as the center on that line and has been able to shut down a number of their offensive drives.
Exactly. Neumann now forced to the boards. Heavy shoulder contact there with Lehtiniemi. It's going to be a Fresno ball. Mendoza over to Nilsson. The shot wide right. It'll be Minnesota's ball here to bring it back in. Yipao Roila getting ready there with Salakangas.
And again, Neumann knows, and the others on that line know that, and Mendoza as well, that Nielsen can and will volley the ball very, very well. Ordinarily, you don't want to put that free hit into the air, but they did, knowing Nielsen would get a good shot at the cage. That just missed by about a foot or so, but a good look off of that free hit for Fresno.
Amdahl now for the Fresno Force. Facing pressure there from Tito Salakangas, able to break up the pass and get his body on it. Ilmari Lechinen, shot attempt. What an incredible bounce. Lucky for the Fresno Force. He saved it to the right. It bounced behind him to the left, just wide of the goalpost. But still, Minnesota with possession. Yipa Oroila off the backboards, looking to Ilmari Lechinen. That's where he shines, is setting up opportunities and assists. That was his number one means of scoring last season, as he was one of the top scorers in the NAFL. Adrian Amdahl now for the Fresno Force. Holding, taking a pause despite the full court press. Billy Nilsson now, center lane, far side to Kangas, back to Nilsson. It's good! Billy Nilsson puts it away to give Fresno the 2-goal lead.
And interestingly enough, that took place during a partial change for Fresno. So Nielsen had come on when the remnants of the other line were out there, Kangas and Johansson for Fresno. And that time, instant chemistry, even though the two guys hadn't played together all game long. Nielsen did a great job as the trailer, running into the slot area, took his time, picked his spot on Järvinen. That's an impossible stop for Järvinen. Anytime Billy Nielsen gets that kind of time, even though he's known as a distributor, not a shooter, he's going to put it home. And once again, Minnesota not finding the trailer coming back. You've got to find that third, fourth guy in if you're Minnesota to backtrack. And this is a completely different game than what we saw in the first period.
But now it's Venionpak coming out here with some momentum. After they recover the ball, Tom Fuchter behind the goal. Both teams coming out with aggression. Minnesota realizing the direness of the situation as we get closer to the back half of the third period. For Billy Nilsson, it's been a great game. His third point, second goal, and he had one assist earlier as well. He'll take the ball on the far side. Facing pressure there from Marcus Line. Take it out to Willik Alberg. Back over to Nilsson. Get the angle on Fuchter. Line not pressing him too heavily. Mendoza coming around, trying for the wraparound goal, but it's deflected by Arvinen. The ball will sail all the way to Oscar Viking Scharnberg here of the Forest. Willik Alberg going behind his own goal. He'll pass down to Alex Neumann. Nilsson around the goal line, looking across from Mendoza, deflected off the body of Järvinen. Now it's Valtteri Rantala, number 79 on the fast break offensive against number 97, Willik Alberg. So chip the ball up. Marcus Line able to get there. Mendoza able to get the angle and come away with it. It's 1-on-3. Able to get a shot attempt off, but it sails wide left. Minnesota now going to take the time to make substitutions and recover. Mendoza, a one-man defense there. Again, as we mentioned in the second period, Trent, he's doing a great job, not just to coming away with the ball, but also, even when he doesn't, putting that pressure on and changing the mindset for the Growlers for how they pass in their own territory.
I think he would be my man of the match to this point. Obviously, Nielsen has a lot of points on the board, but I think Mendoza set the tone in terms of tempo for the Force defensively, and he's caused so many issues for the Growlers, forced them into errors, as you say.
Now Juuso Lehtiniemi. Go with a pass to Tuukka Korhonen. And around the center, Björninen coming for support in the middle, but he's facing tight coverage. Spaced out defense. Gave Eetu Lehtiniemi room, but he was unable to field the pass. Possession change here to Fresno. Rasmus Johansson, a breakaway player for the Force, who seems to have taken a little bit of a back seat here in the back half of the match to Billy Nilsson and to Melvin Mendoza. It's going to be interesting to see how they utilize Rasmus Johansson during the rest of this match, as of course Fresno running two primary lines, facing the issue of stamina as they try to close this comeback out. Rasmus Johansson, close wing. Backing off slightly, ever so slightly. He'll go to Castellanos, gets it through the legs of Mataller, over to David Kangas. A lucky pass, looking over to Linda, but he's unable to get the shot attempt off as the ball sails a little bit wide there. Chipped up and out off the stick of Tuukka Korhonen, and it's going to be a Fresno Force hit in.
And for Fresno, they're going to change on this free hit. Johansson will stay out there, but you bring Nielsen and Mendoza out. Unfortunately, because that kind of got caught in between. They had four players out. They weren't able to run a free hit play like they've done the last few corners.
Tito Salakangas gets the ball out to Oroila. He's got Hiltunen far side. He'll take the pass. Coming in the center lane, drawing the defenders in. It gives space for Lehtinen far side. Julius Alakangas goes down to Auroila. Back at half court, go far side. Looking to Lehtinen, down deep, looking across court. He'll shoot off the rebound off of Neumann's stick. Ilmari Lehtinen ends the scoring drought for the Minnesota Growlers and brings it back to a one-goal game.
Sometimes when you're looking for positive momentum, a silly bounce is all you need. And in that case, Neumann was in the right spot, made the right play, and deflecting that pass, it just so happened that it bounced right to Lehtinen in a prime scoring area. Because he was concerned about knocking down the pass, he wasn't necessarily in position to block that shot. So nothing really on the Fresno Forces defense that caused that. Sometimes silly bounces don't go your way. But for Minnesota, that's a huge, huge momentum changer because now you've gotten a positive bounce on a 50-50 ball. You're back within one, and you can pin your ears back and kind of go after it over the next 9:40.
And with less than 10 minutes remaining, that's all the time Minnesota has to try and retake the lead here. Your score with 9.5 minutes remaining, it's Fresno Force 8, Minnesota Growlers 7 in what has been an incredible game so far. We've seen a lot of this entire season in the NAFL to start off our third year. A lot of tightly contested matches. There is no clear shot to the Troy Cup yet. Fresno with the full court press here. These two teams met in the semifinals last season. It was a close match then, and we're seeing the same sparks fly even early in this season. It's going to be interesting to see how both these teams are able to develop throughout the rest of the year as they look to make it to the championship once more.
And that semifinal game, I think that's a classic NAFL game. Like, that might be the best game we've seen so far in the NAFL, not just in terms of the closeness of it, but in terms of the stakes. And so far today, these teams are battling as though it is the semifinals.
Now it'll be Eetu Lehtinen set to take it. 9 minutes left. Minnesota down only one goal. He's going to have Björninen come for support here. The tap to Lehtinen. Some smooth moves to get around Karlberg. Fresno playing tight here towards the box. Jussi Lehtinen able to get to the ball. Now Fresno spread out, no man in the middle. And now Lehtinen goes out to Korhonen. Far side, Mile Marthaler. Looking across, he finds Björninen. Now far side, Tuukka Korhonen. Back to Björninen. Over to Marthaler. Starting to spread out Fresno as they draw Mendoza to try and cut off that back passing lane. Tuukka Korhonen on the far side. It's a collision there, but both teams seeming to lose sight of the ball play. Eetu Lehtinen. It's back over to Mile Marthaler at the point. Mendoza coming to meet him, but he's able to get a move around to get a pass off to number 50, Eetu Lehtinen. Looking across, Jussi Lehtinen chips the ball in the air instead of getting it towards the goal. Kim Nyberg going to send it down deep into Minnesota territory, give his team a time to reset.
Ever since this line for Fresno switched to the 2-2-1, Minnesota's had a lot tougher time finding those cross-court passes about 30 feet from the net that they were able to get so easily early on in this game. And it's also allowed Mendoza to play his game as the top in that 2-2-1, pressuring, forcing them into passes they don't want to make.
And we saw it just there, forcing Tiitos Salakangas to go further into his backcourt as he pressured that passing lane. But now, Tuukka Hiltunen goes to Julius Salakangas. Tiitos Salakangas shot attempt from deep goes off the body of Melvin Mendoza. Billy Nilsson the spin around trying to break Lehtinen. He gets it out to Kim Nyberg, team captain here of the squad on the court. Of course, he's contributed big as a leader. You can see him pausing to allow his team time to make substitutions as he'll pass it off to Jonas Castellanos.
Yeah, they want to make a partial change. I think Nilsson initially wanted to stay out there a little bit for this offensive possession.
Adrian Amdahl now in the center. He'll pass over to Johansson. They'll lose control there. A steal there by Julius Salakangas. He's driving down. Now the pass to Lehtinen, too much power. It's just the wrong time, off by a millisecond, but he'll still maintain possession. He gets it out to Jiipa Auroila. Tiitos Salakangas rebounding it off the boards. Castellanos in a physical match there. For Janne Sjögren saying no call, but to back off. Tiitos Salakangas, the pass behind himself. Jiipa Auroila. Go far side, Ilmari Lehtinen. A spin and shoot and score! Ilmari Lehtinen, his second in this period, able to put it away and make this a tie ball game.
Fresno there was playing a little bit deeper back. They weren't as tight, though, and the 2D were pretty far back, such that on that double spin, they weren't in position to get a stick on the ball. I want to say it was Amdahl on the far side who was kind of reaching out, but caught out of position such that he couldn't get down. And those far post shots are so difficult to stop. So Scharnberg really with no opportunity. Lehtinen yet another goal in this game. I believe that's goal number 3 for him. He's been the player that Minnesota has looked to for offense in this period. He has both of their goals in this period, and he tallies the tying one with 6:34 remaining in the third.
And that couldn't have come at a better time, allowing Minnesota just enough time to complete the comeback and enough time to make Fresno feel like their hope may be dwindling here, as a lead that they were starting to enjoy after a miraculous comeback is now whittled down to none. Just over 6 minutes remaining. Your score: Fresno Force 8, Minnesota Growlers 8. Juuso Lehtinen goes over to Eetu Vanjonpää. For Minnesota, if they're unable to score, but they can stop Fresno, they may be looking at their second overtime game this season. They would have one 2 days in a row. Certainly going to try and avoid that. We'll see what offense they're able to pick up here in the remaining 6 minutes of the third period. Eetu Vanjonpää backing off now. And of course, the Fresno Force came out and in their season opener had an overtime game as well, where they were able to complete a comeback against the Ohio Aviators, against many of the members of their former squad. Of course, there used to be a significant Canadian line on the Fresno Force led by Matt Smith, their former team captain, went over to the Aviators, but this new talent who came in over the offseason were able to finish the job late in the game on the first day of the season.
In Minnesota, this last offensive possession has been much more what they want. Let's bring it back up top. Let's play from the back a little bit. Let's create more movement. They've created more space. Now, although they didn't get a clean look there and Billy Nilsson had a nice block over on the far side, it enabled them to turn over the line. So now you have the Fresno de facto second line out, and Minnesota is able to put the Arroyo line out.
Lehtinen behind the goal. He'll pass out to Hiltunen. Sweep shot just wide, deflected there. Adrian Amdahl looking for space. Lehtinen not going to give it to him, but now Arroyo calling his team home as Rasmus Johansson starts to lead this Fresno offense. Adrian Amdahl down to Rasmus Johansson. Taking his time, just over 5 minutes remain in the third period. Samuel Linda coming down to the close wing. Nobody in the center. Now it's going to be Castellanos who cycles into that open space, but he's got 2 men trailing him. David Kangas is open on the far side, but Johansson is taking his time. Lehtinen now aggressive with the press, forcing the pass and forcing the steal. Dita Salakanga is able to get it out to number 61, Ilmari Lehtinen. Far side, Jipa Arroyo. Salakangas down deep. Tuukka Hiltunen, the shot sails wide off the backboards. Still able to recover possession. Julius Salakangas shot from even deeper, sails wide right. Arroyo to Salakangas. It's incredible how the Growlers are picking up the pace. Shot attempt goes off the body of David Kangas as Fresno starts to re-cement their defense. Jipa Arroyo, far side, Lehtinen. Facing double team pressure, will send it around the corner to Dito Salakangas. Adrian Amdahl able to force the ball out of bounds. It won't end the possession just yet. It'll be the Minnesota Growlers ball on the hit end. Just over 4 minutes remaining. Still a tie ball game, but the Growlers seem to be the team that's putting the momentum on here ever since Ilmari Lehtinen changed their fate with that one bounce. As you said, Trent, something as simple as that can change the fate of the game.
Yeah, the game has gone a completely different direction, and the last few times out, Minnesota has switched lines 1 and 2. So the third line not getting as much time here as they try to press for what would be a go-ahead goal late in this one.
Alex Neumann in the center to Billy Nilsson. Shot sails wide off the body of Eetu Vanjonpää. Juuso Lehtinen, far side. Mile Mahtaler driving in close to the goal, but he won't be able to finish. Neumann waiting in the crease, able to get the ball back out and away from the danger zone. Kim Nyberg now on the close wing. 3.5 minutes remain. Far side, Wheeler Karlberg off the boards. Billy Nilsson looking to Neumann for the go-ahead. Mendoza's second finish off the rebound misses its mark as well, but Neumann to Nilsson. Goes off the leg of Eetu Lehtinen, sails out of bounds. It'll be a forced hit in. Fresno now the one with the sustained offensive here. Billy Nilsson looking, and he's able to find the goal. It's a go-ahead for Fresno. What a shot there. Nilsson sending it into the box. It almost looks like it may have gone off the body of Neumann.
And Neumann with the deft deflection inside. A lot of times when people begin floorball and they try to deflect balls in, they're trying to bat the ball or whack at the ball. Neumann knew at the angle the pass was coming in, he just had to open his stick blade and change the trajectory of the ball. That's all he did. He didn't wave at it, he didn't bat at it, he just set his stick there as a target for Nielsen. And he knew that because the goalie Järvinen was moving from his right to his left, all he needed to do was to touch it off to his left-hand side of the net, and that's exactly what he did. Excellent stick handling from Neumann, and of course, great vision from Nielsen, which we've come to expect.
And we saw that stick handling from the rest of the Fresno squad as they were able to mount that offensive. There were several moments where it looked like the Growlers would be able to come away with it, but those 50-50 balls Fresno was able to take. Very significant here as we enter the last 3 minutes, and your score is Force 9, Growlers 8. Can Fresno complete the comeback? Now coming back for a second time. Two players going to the ground, getting physical there. It's Samuel Linda and Julius Salakangas. Linda helping Salakangas up.
But what this does is it allows Fresno to switch back to their first line. So the line that's done all the damage for Minnesota was out. The Aurelia Lettinen line was out against Fresno's second line. That stoppage allows Fresno's first line to pop back out and get a little bit more playing time with 2:54 remaining in the third period as Minnesota presses for the tying goal.
And Fresno, of course, on the first day of the season with that overtime win, they showed that even with less depth, they are a team that can finish, that can bring the stamina even when they're tired. We'll see if they can do that again here today as we enter these last 3 minutes, and the players obviously worn from their speedy game today against a relentless Minnesota team that has made them fight for every bit of advantage that they've had. Play resume in here with Tito Salakangas. Far side over to Yipa Aurelia. Back to Salakangas. Mendoza with a little bit of a press. That shot across the middle off the body of Wille Karlberg. Bounces out of bounds. It'll be a Growlers hit in. Ilmari Lehtinen goes with the pass to Tuukka Hiltunen. Back to Lehtinen. Off the backboards. Salakangas. Julius Salakangas from deep off the body of Mendoza. Forward defense there. Stop the ball from ever getting inside the box. And sent around to Lehtinen. Chipped up by Kim Nyberg. A no-looker pass sailing wide off the boards. Neumann able to get the angle. Mendoza able to finish, but he'll send the ball out of bounds, trying to bounce it off the boards. It's going to be a Minnesota Growlers hit in. And that's going to be a timeout called here by the Minnesota Growlers. They're down by 1 goal. They need to take this opportunity to change their strategy and get back out on top or force overtime.
A great play by Neumann on the near side to go into that board battle, knowing that he was probably going to take a pretty severe fall. He did, but he's able to chip the ball to his teammate coming in. Minnesota didn't have a second man in, whereas Neumann knew he had Mendoza coming in. Mendoza got the ball, ended up clearing it into the Growlers bench, which is unfortunate from the Force's perspective, but Minnesota takes the timeout. Likely to see the Fresno first line back out. I'm curious which line Minnesota goes with coming out of the timeout with 2:18 remaining. Ultimately for Fresno, the key will be blocking shots from the forwards. We've seen a lot more shots from further out for Minnesota in the last 30 minutes of game time. That last shift, we saw a nice shot block from Mendoza. We saw a block from Nielsen on a couple of shifts ago. So the forwards have got to do their job blocking the shots, and the D have got to do the job cutting off the centering passes. Both parties have done a pretty good job of that since the second period began, but those are going to be the keys to holding on to this lead for Fresno. Empty net for Minnesota, 6-on-5.
Minnesota set to take the hit here. With how aggressive Fresno is on the counterattacks, the empty net, a risky strategy, is what Minnesota's willing to do here to try and bring home the victory. Minnesota, of course, coming into this game undefeated this season after a close call. If they win today, they would come to 3-0. A loss today to Fresno would send both teams to 2-1. And that's Eetu Lehtinen going to the ground there. It's going to be awarded to Fresno. Kim Nyberg set to take it. Now officially less than 2 minutes remain. Nyberg, deep pass looking to Billy Nilsson. Lehtinen able to box him out as he loses control, but Neumann able to get it to Mendoza. Mendoza now behind the Minnesota goal. He's got 2 men on him. He'll need a fancy pass. He finds one to Billy Nilsson behind himself. Off the boards, he finds Wille Karlberg. Shot attempt, sails wide. Off the boards. Emily Biermanen going behind the goal. Pasi Järvinen coming off. Julius Salakangas coming on. Once again, running the empty net. 1.5 minutes remaining for Minnesota to tie this game up and go far side. Ilmari Lehtinen Billy Nilsson starting the pressure. Julius Alakangas is far side to Lehtinen once more. Bjerrinen cycling into the center. They've got Lyle Mothaler close to the box. That ball sailing past Titus Alakangas. Tim Nyberg able to recover. He'll send the ball down deep. No pursuit here from Fresno. Julius Alakangas bringing the ball to half court as we enter the last minute of play. Shot attempt saved by Scharnberg. An unexpected, powerful shot from Etuletnimi was on target. But Oscar Viking Scharnberg in the way. And now Fresno is going to earn the free hit here. Bossi Arvinen heading back down to the court, staying alive by inches here. Timeout called by the Fresno Force as they enter a crucial remaining 50 seconds with a narrow 1-goal lead.
Because of the situation of the game, you might look and say, oh, 9-8, both goalies might be a little struggling a little bit. But Scharnberg has seen the ball so well all game long. And that last save coming from the far wing, that shot, Scharnberg, how you know he's seeing the ball well is he's able to move his torso to the ball. When you start making saves with your torso and your shoulder as well as your hands, that means you're seeing the ball exceptionally well. He took no chances, arched his shoulder up, managed to deflect the ball into the corner out of harm's way. A lot of goalies, when they're not seeing the ball well, even if they do get their shoulders up, that ball's coming back into the middle. So Scharnberg's rebound control, excellent. He has been fantastic. And honestly, this game could be 12-9 or 13-9, if not for Scharnberg's play. He's made a couple of grade A saves in this game, and even that last one he made look routine, even though from a goalie's perspective, that's a very difficult shot to stop, especially one that's going towards the top corner of the net.
And after Fresno's loss yesterday to the 39ers, we spoke with some of the team, and they took that loss personally. We've definitely seen the improvements that they have made coming into today, even with just one night's rest to discuss, to plan out how they would play today. They certainly are a new-look team in their third match this season. 40 seconds on the clock. Minnesota with the ball, running the empty net. Titus Alakangas out to Julius Alakangas, far side, Elimari Lehtinen. Fresno a little spaced out, a cross-court pass is able to make it to Titus Alakangas. Nyberg pressing him, he'll have to go back out to the point. Far side, Lehtinen goes over Etuletnimi to Titus Alakangas. Field player defense, Neumann with a phenomenal save, able to break up that ball. 15 seconds left. Julius Alakangas fighting for survival. Far side, Elimari Lehtinen, what can he do with it? 10 seconds on the clock, weaving in space. Julius Alakangas gets it over. Emily Bjerrinen losing control of the ball on the sweep. And at the last second, Melvin Mendoza scores the empty net goal. There may be a second on the clock, but this is a done deal after Melvin Mendoza getting picked up there by backup goalkeeper Kasper Rutkowski. What a way to finish.
Everyone on Fresno selling out on every single play. Minnesota had an opportunity down here to the left on the near boards, but unfortunately for them, the pass was bobbled just a little bit. It forced the ball to go back to the point, an excellent shot block, and then it's very apropos that Mendoza gets the dagger in this game. As I mentioned, he's probably my man of the match, even though Nilsson played so well. I think Mendoza's energy changed the game for Fresno, and this 3 points in the win column, 3 points in the point column, and the win column owes in large part to Mendoza, Nilsson, and Neumann. That line terrific down the stretch for Fresno.
And that match came down truly to the last 5 seconds. I could see you tensing up there, Trent, as you saw that shot opportunity. But Fresno able to complete the comeback, their second comeback win this season. Both teams advancing to 2-1. Floorball fans, what a matchup. We hope you've enjoyed it just as much as we have. Stay around on the broadcast as we'll be bringing you an exclusive NAFL post-game interview. And of course, we'll see you with our exciting floorball action. Games at 1 and 4 p.m. Central Standard Time still to go today. Trent, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you, Tanner. It's been a pleasure as always, and we'll see you once again in Tennessee.
Very well. Well, floorball fans of the North American Floorball League, we've just gotten done with an intense matchup here between the Fresno Force and the Minnesota Growlers. The Force able to come away with it. I'm here with number 37, David Kangas. David, how are you feeling after the win?
Yeah, it was a great win. Really showed our mental game. Yeah, we fought back from the start. Brilliant win.
What do you think was the key for your team, obviously coming from a 5-goal deficit? What was the magic wand that you waved in order to come back?
Well, I think it was our mental game. We really showed the character. You know, yeah, I think that's it. It wasn't like any big tactics. It was just our mental game.
And David, obviously you're integrating on a team where there's been a lot of new talent who's come in on the offseason. This is a new look Fresno team. What's it been like integrating with them? Because obviously we see a lot of chemistry between the lines and inside the lines.
Yeah, it has been difficult. I think we're, as you can see, we're getting started. I think in the last period we showed some great teamwork. And well, it just improves over these 3 games. And hopefully it will get better.
Well, David, best of luck the rest of the season. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on the big win. Floorball fans, thank you so much for joining our broadcast. Don't worry, we're going to be back at 1 p.m. with more exciting floorball action. We hope that you join us then. Until then, I've been Tanner David.